Okay, this is a video interview of Anderson Island resident Lee Schauf, who is a member of the American Legion Post 265. And we're going to be talking about his experience in his service to the country. Go ahead, Lee.
A little bit about Anderson Island. In 1989, my wife was working at the bank in Tacoma. Mary Jane Reynolds was working for her, and she suggested that we come to Anderson Island to look at a piece of property. So we came out here and bought a house. So we've been out here right now almost 30 years, and we moved here full-time in '95, and I belong to Anderson Island Association and on the board of American Legion. I'm the president of Anderson Island Association. In 1963, we were living in Tacoma, and I got drafted into the military. I was 23 years old at the time, and went to Fort Ord, California for basic training, and came back from basic training and was stationed at Fort Lewis for about 2 months in the 51st Field Hospital. I was in the motor pool, and when the 51st Field Hospital went on maneuvers to California, I was on orders for Germany. So I went to Germany in '64, left Germany in '65. And when I was in Germany, I was in 533rd MPs in Kaiserslautern. The 533rd MPs patrolled 1,500 square miles, and they also policed the city of Kaiserslautern. I wasn't a military policeman. I kept them in wheels. I was in the motor pool. I was a motor pool dispatcher. And I met a very interesting guy over there. He was a cook, and his name was John Martin Rudolph van der Sanden. He was from Wisconsin. And he was a Dutchman. His folks were from over there, but he spoke fluent German. So we used to get along pretty well going to town and doing things. I got out of the service. I came back home and did various jobs, did things, but one of the things that happened to me when I was in the service was I was the only one in all of wherever I was stationed that had a mechanics MOS. So they would loan me to all these other companies to go to the field. So I probably went to the field in 2 years about 7 times. Generally driving a truck or just maintaining equipment or what have you. But that was quite an experience. But most people go to the field in 2 years a couple of times, once a year. It's been quite a while since I was over there, so there was, being in 2 years, I didn't have a lot of different experiences, but I said I had met a lot of people, did a lot of things, and 3 months before I was going to get out of the service, I was promoted to E4, so I felt pretty good about that, to come out with 4 months in grade as an E4, which was kind of a feather in my hat, being in a military police company over there and making that.
Did the military police have their own motor pools?
I spent my military career working in motor pool. Yeah. In Germany, I was in the motor pool. I was a mechanic, and then I was also did all the paperwork for the motor pool. I was I guess I can't remember the exact name of the name, like the dispatcher and motor pool clerk. I was the motor pool clerk, so I kept everything going. My brother was a career Air Force, and my stepfather was a career Army, so we had a little bit of military. My oldest brother was in the Army for a short time. That was back in the 40s, so we didn't have a huge military presence in the family, but we had some. So, let's see. Did Did you have any questions you wanted to ask?
You what's one of the big events that happened for you in your career?
Well, in 1964, when I was on orders for Germany, was when they had the big earthquake in Alaska, and I was home on orders for Germany, on leave prior to that. And the military police came to my house and told me that I had to be on standby because if the 51st Field Hospital was sent to Alaska for the earthquake, that they would supersede my orders and send me to Alaska. But I never had to do that. And they didn't send that. But that was one of the things I always remember. And then also when I was home on leave was when President Kennedy was assassinated. I remember that. We got a call from the military police then that they might have to change my orders. But that was two events that happened that were in my time in the service that I'll never forget with those two things. But traveling, I didn't, we went to Germany on a troop ship and flew back, but they changed a lot of things around. I just missed the Vietnam conflict, which was probably lucky for me.
The military police had their own motor pool. Did they also have their own mess hall?
In the military police company I was in, they had consolidated mess halls in Germany. But our military police, we had our own cooks and we had our own mess hall because there was a concern that if we were in consolidated messes, since we were the military police for the Kaiserslautern area and for all the surrounding area, that they might treat us badly in the regular mess hall. So we had our own mess hall. We had four cooks that they would each work 4 days on, 4 days off, two at a time. And so that was the thing. And then when I first went to Kaiserslautern, they had us over on the far end of the city, right at the city limits, in a barracks called the Kleber Kaserne. And that was an old military hospital from World War II. Then they moved us to Pulaski Barracks, which was completely on the other side of the city in the rural district. And it was almost off the Landstuhl. And that was, it had been a Polish army in those barracks prior to that. We were in the last barracks at the top of the hill. The one it was the only one up there that had its own mess hall.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this for us, and we'll give you a copy of it.
Well, thank you.